earbuds are better than headphones. You can try and change my mind, but I'm gonna tell you why. At least for me, why earbuds are just overall always preferred over a bunch of headphones. So right here in my hand, I have the Sony WF-1000 XM5, which is always a mouthful to say. But these are some of the best earbuds that you can get at the moment. So they're noise cancelling earbuds. They have great sound quality and some of the best ANC that you can get at the moment. Those are the earbuds, and these are the headphones that I'll talk about just for the sake of talking about a pair of headphones, although my opinion is not really based on any specific earbuds or headphone models or pairs. Just in general, I always prefer and pick a set of earbuds over headphones. But these ones here are the Bose Quiet Comfort QC Ultra headphones. So these are the latest model that they have on at the moment, which is these guys here. So this is a premium set of headphones. It costs about $650 Australian. So it's not cheap by any means. These also are not cheap at all. They're about $350 Australian. So this is about as expensive as earbuds can get, although I'm sure you can find more expensive. And this is not quite as expensive as headphones get. You can also get the Apple headphones, which are also, I'm not sure what the current retail price is, but I think it's even more than this. The Sonos are about equivalent to this, and then the sky's the limit, really. You can get into specialist headphones that are, thousands of dollars and even beyond that. But overall, why do I think that earbuds are better than headphones? Well, the most obvious and striking thing is the size, right? So a pair of earbuds you can always carry with you, and I do carry a set of these with me pretty much every day, and I have for the last 5 or 7 years or so. I always have a set in my pocket. So if I'm going out to a cafe for a coffee by myself and maybe doing some work, or even when I'm at the office and I have some quiet time and I want to do some focused work and block out all the other sounds, I just take a pair of these out of my pocket, pop them in. You'll see that I'm wearing a bunch of earbuds right now. Those are actually a different set. These are the Soundcore A40 earbuds, and I'll do a separate video to review these two. These are a much more budget-friendly set of earbuds. They cost about $80 Australian, whereas these ones are $350 Australian. And actually, there's really not much difference between them whatsoever, but I'll leave that as the topic for another video. I'm not really talking about cost at the moment, but I've used these for about 6 months. I've tried these for about a week or so. These actually stack up really well in comparison, but keep an eye out for a different video about that. But as I was saying, earbuds are just very practical. You can always just pop them in your pocket, take them with you, put them on when you need them. As you can see, they don't really take much space. If you also want to be aware of your environment, you can just take one out and you can still hear your music or your podcast or whatever you're listening to. You can also hear really well everything around you, and I do wear them like this very often as well, right? With headphones, you can't really do this, not as easily. I mean, you can kind of put the headphones on and maybe leave one ear out, as some people do. So if you want to hear something, you might be walking around with them a little bit like this and sitting around, and that's okay. It kind of does the job, but it's not really comfortable for a long period of time. It looks a bit weird as well. So depending on the setting or where you are, you may not really want to wear them like this all the time. Now that I have the headphones on, another big disadvantage for headphones, at least for me, is just that they're not as comfortable overall. So sure, these are, again, very premium headphones, so the cushions are really nice and soft. and the headband here is really nice and soft. They're quite light overall, and they're known to be one of the most comfortable pair of headphones, right? And for short periods of time, like an hour or 2 hours, maybe they're okay. But even then, like headphones, I just feel they put pressure on the side of your head. So over an extended period of time, you start to feel pressure around the head, and you can adjust that obviously, so you can loosen them up a little bit, which loosens the pressure. And different headphones have different clamping forces as well. So if you find some that are too tight, you can try to find others that are, more loose. But if the clamping force is less, the headphones still need to be supported somehow. So usually the head band area presses more on the top of your head, so then you feel more pressure on the top of your head, and you also end up with the with the indentation that some people talk about. That's a real thing. It actually does leave an indentation in your head. It doesn't actually indent the skull or change the shape of your skull or bone or anything like that. It's usually just indenting the headline and also pushing away some of the fluid that sits between your skull and your upper layers of skin and hair. So it actually displaces all that fluid to the side, so you have a little bit of a dip in the top of your head if you wear headphones very frequently in the same spot and they're always kind of like pressing down. Now that's a temporary thing, so you take it off after a couple of hours or a day or a good night's sleep. That indentation typically goes away. But it's just something that I don't like. I don't like that sensation there. I don't like that feeling there. And also, like, if you wear any sort of product in your hair, that gets a little bit difficult to deal with. You can get product like hair gel and things on your band, and if you get that very frequently, then depending on the materials that the band is made from, you can get gunky, or it can even start to break down the fabrics or the plastics. Although I haven't experienced that yet, but it can happen, right? And it also can just mess up your hair. I mean, I have a very short haircut, so it's not really a problem for me at the moment. But if you have longer hair, or you'd like to do more stylized hairstyles, it can be a real problem, right? You can't really wear a set of headphones and then take them off and then go into a client meeting, depending on what sort of work you do, or what you might be doing for the rest of the day. So I find all these comfort related stuff, a pair of earbuds like this have none of these disadvantages, right? You can just take off the headphones. Let's put these away for a bit. Already, I'm starting to feel hot. My ears are starting to feel hot and just a little bit uncomfortable. I don't wear headphones very often anymore. I used to, maybe 10 to 15 years ago. I used to wear headphones every day at work for multiple hours a day. But over time, I just kind of switched to earbuds because these didn't really exist like 10 years ago, right? You could have wired earbuds, which were fine. But sort of wireless earbuds with ANC and good sound quality were not really common until kind of like the Apple AirPods sort of came out, and then now there's lots of varieties out there, right? Let me just take these off. So putting this one back in. Yeah, size is obviously much more practical, much more comfortable. I don't feel any discomfort now with these two earbuds around my face or my head. It doesn't interfere with anything else. Some people maybe don't like the sensation of having these in your ears. That's fair. Maybe that's something that you get used to over time. I don't mind it anymore. I actually quite I find that quite comfortable. And it's also about finding the right earbuds for you. There's a lot of different varieties in earbuds at the moment these days, and some of them are very small, some of them are very big. You can get the ones with the stems, the ones that have the little rubber seals around the sides, or things that go around your ear. There's many different styles. Just find what is most comfortable for you to wear. For me, again, these Soundcore A40s, somehow they match my ears the best. They're actually more comfortable than these much more expensive Sony WF-1000 XM5. It's always a mouthful to say the model number for this. Another thing to think about is if you're traveling. So whether you're just traveling, for school or university, it's much easier to put a pair of these in your pocket or your bag than to carry these around with you every day, right? Even if you're just going to a cafe, you want to take these out of your bag. You got to take out the case, put the case on the table, take these out, unfold them, fold the case back, maybe put the case back in your bag so it doesn't get, coffee stains and other things on them. Put these around your neck, keep them around your neck, put them on your face. It's just a lot of additional hassle and size and weight that you have to carry with you. So even when I go on, business trips, I again prefer to take one of these with me instead of the headphones, just because I like to travel very light, right? I like to have just a carry-on suitcase with me that has everything that I need for like a 1 week trip, even for international trips. So it's much easier to just take one of these with me and just keep it in my pocket or in my bag than to make the room for one of these together with laptops and chargers and everything else that you need to take with you. So those are some of the main reasons that I prefer earbuds. They're also typically cheaper. We talked about that already. Like you can get, budget to premium earbuds that are less than half the cost of budget to premium headphones, right? I guess the main thing that people would probably say that headphones are better is the sound quality and the noise isolation, right? Now, I'm not exactly an audiophile, so yes, these sound pretty good. These also sound pretty good. If I do side-by-side comparison, maybe I can convince myself that these sound better overall. But after spending 1 hour with either of these two, you kind of forget about any sort of differences that ever existed. Like you really have to listen hard to try and find the difference. Like once you adjust for volume and things like that, like if you switch your Bluetooth connection on your phone, playing the same music from these to these as you're listening, and then back to these and back to these and back to these, as you make sure you adjust for sound volume, because different devices output at different volumes, and sometimes it's often easy to think that the device that's louder sounds better, right? So make sure that you don't fall for that trap. So once you adjust for the sound, you have to listen really, really carefully to find the differences in details in specific songs. And then if you play around with the custom EQs on these, because all these have custom EQs these days, you can kind of match whatever sound you like or you prefer on either of these two devices. So I don't really feel that I'm missing out on anything by listening to earbuds instead of headphones. These days, there's not much in it. Again, historically, 10 to 15 years ago, yes, earphones or earbuds were never as good as headphones. But these days, surprisingly, there's very little in it, at least for the vast majority of the consumer population, like 99.9%. I'm sure there are people out there that have like a musical ear with perfect pitch that can tell the difference between every single musical note and frequency. And if you're one of those, then feel free to use whatever device you like or whatever device you prefer. Um, at the end of the day, it always comes down to personal preferences. So I'm just saying, for me, I'm not really an audiophile. I don't really have super high expectations of what I'm listening to. I guess the sound sources and sound materials that I listen to are also often maybe not the highest quality. Like I listen to YouTube music, YouTube podcasts, YouTube just music in general. Watch a Netflix show here or there. So none of these things are like lossless, super high quality, super high fidelity type sound sources that would require like a perfect listening environment and a perfect set of devices with perfect EQ to match the exact source that you're listening to. Like that, I think that's a kind of a different use case entirely, right? If you're in that use case, then yes, pick the best device for for the best output. But if you're talking about just general purpose things that you carry with you every single day and you use with you in multiple different environments, my claim is that a pair of earbuds are always superior to a pair of headphones. I think the last topic I'll cover is active noise cancellation. Traditionally, you could only get active noise cancellation in headphones, right? Like Bose invented ANC in about 1999 or 2000. That was the first pair of quiet comfort headphones they released with ANC, and they had a patent on that. In about, I think, 2015 or so, a lot of other headphone manufacturers started to incorporate ANC technology. The Bose patent actually expired in 2020. So that's an interesting trivia fact. Once the patent expired, now pretty much everybody can use that patent and that technology to implement active noise cancellation. And within like the last 5 to 7 years or so, that's why we now have active noise cancellation in everything, from premium earbuds like the Sonys to budget earbuds like the Anker, Soundcore, and many other budget brands. It's no longer a premium thing or like a top secret thing. Everybody can implement ANC now, and the circuitry to actually make it work is very simple and very cheap. And there's actually not much in it. So again, if I do a side-by-side comparison in different like noisy environments with different fan noises in the background and libraries and cafes, and I specifically try to listen for the ANC differences between the earbuds and the headphones, you can kind of convince yourself that sometimes these headphones perform slightly better than these earbuds. But again, there's very little in it, maybe like a 10% difference, in my opinion. Active noise cancellation in general, I feel, is a bit overrated. It works well only for specific frequencies of sound, like airplane engines, which was what these were invented for initially, for airplanes, and similar sounds like vacuum cleaners or fans that have a repeating long wavelength frequency, right? And that's what active noise cancellation targets and cancels out. But anything else from the mids to the highs, including human speech, glasses clinking in a cafe, bells, and other random sounds in the environment, active noise cancellation doesn't even attempt. Generally, it doesn't even attempt to do anything about them, because it just can't. The technology is not able to cancel out those frequencies because the wavelengths are too short, and there's propagation delays and latencies in inverting the sound wave and doing some DSP processing on those sound waves. Because the wavelengths are so short, any sort of latency or error margins you have in that, it will cause sound distortions and amplify sounds that it shouldn't, and create a lot of artifacts. So you can't really do that in the mid to high frequencies at the moment. It's much easier to do it in the low frequencies because the wavelengths are long, which means that even if you have a latency and you're slightly off on your anti-wavelength, you're still canceling out 98% of that sound, but it doesn't quite work in the small frequencies. So that's why, like, even if you put these on, just do it as a test, put these on, turn on the ANC and don't turn the music on, and just try to tell what you can still hear around you. You'll notice that human speech, you'll hear it almost just as well as without the headphones on. There can be somebody whispering next to you and you'll hear them just as well with the ANC or without the ANC. And it's exactly the same for these premium Sony earbuds, and also for these budget Anker Soundcore earbuds too. So I don't think ANC is much of a differentiator or deciding factor between headphones or earphones, and even between budget levels. So $80 versus $650. Maybe there's a 10% difference at best. Would I pay like 8 to 10 times more for that 10% difference? No, definitely not. And especially because of all the other comfort factors that I talked about. So anyways, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that probably will disagree with me and will have their own strong opinions. I know there are those that love headphones and will never listen to earbuds, and there's hopefully a few in my camp as well that love earbuds and maybe don't love headphones as much. If you want to tell me which you prefer and why, please feel free to comment down below. Thank you all.